It is 6:30, Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023. The historic town of Eatonville now opens up its council workshop meeting. Do we have roll call?
Mayor Bart. Vice Mayor.
You know, we're right into our discussion and leave the invitation for the meetings for us 7:30. First item, discussion of staff organizing a workshop on matters pertaining to the town of Eatonville.
Okay, this is a discussion of much concerns, and one of the aspects basically to discuss and to organize with the officials, the zoning board as well as the council members. About the understanding of ordinances, special exceptions, first reading, second reading, zoning, comments, and land those all those things that are needed in order to make an effective decision about the land uses in our town. So I thought it would be complimentary to all of us to be learning and educating ourselves on all these matters we feel confronted with these matters. And that's because of the developments that we have here in the town now and in the future. So it's just there on the floor for discussion. Discussing a couple of months ago. So,
So I'll get with the town clerk to go ahead and get those workshops set up. Get back with the council. Let them know.
This is, I think this is an important matter. Our sort of a collective approach to hearing sort of a training session for EMC board. And it wouldn't just include the planner, because there's some legal elements to this training as well as the capacity of this. Because in order for you to make sound decisions regarding land use matters, you also have to understand capacity. You also have to understand people decisions when it comes to town plan or land use maps. My understanding as it stands today, there are complications within our land use and so this will take some time. It's not something you can just require some thorough thought processes to get those three elements together and bring forward this type of plan.
I didn't go as far as that, but yes, it was my intentions mainly to just give an informational level for how, what the steps and procedures are for each of these types of land development requests. So we'll get together to know what has happened. And since you just mentioned, well, this ran our water capacity. So. Yes.
Okay, this one here is on the water capacity. At the last meeting, it was discussed about the capacity of our water. We became aware of more facts about this from our chief administrative officer. And reported to Altamont. At some point, we may reach the capacity. What that means that this one, we don't know. So this means that all of the anticipated planned units here in the town, that's include housing, businesses, retail, apartments, additional homes. As to what other alternatives do we have for our town in the event if we are not able to these other partly municipalities that service our water, sewer, our sewer, stormwater, all that. That what means that we have as that's very disturbing because it would be not much of a bigger problem if we had been on this years ago, but now it's a problem. And not only that, but the same municipalities, all around us, they're also facing growth in their own cities, using their own facilities to handle these types of services. And we're growing, so we're looking at about 4,000 possibilities. All these developments, look at how they per household, the use of facilities, such as what we're speaking of. We do have a concern about this is something that hopefully we can get the best and as I said before, this is a very serious matter. It should be taken very serious. I did speak to Mr. Singh about it, and he shared some, saying that he was more concerned about this issue. Not only that, but each time that we bring on a development, other than the ones that we know about, there may be more that may be coming on at some other time. We will have to make a decision based upon what we have now, whether or not we be able to take on more. We don't know. But I'm quite sure there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to address these concerns now in the future settings.
Well, Mr. Singh, any other comments from this council?
One question, when I saw this on the workshop, for CAO, being that it is, do we solve this problem by getting, it's just, just saying, a bigger water facility? Do we look at creating our own water waste treatment system here? I've asked maybe like 5 or 6 years ago with the administration that we had here, and they were saying that it was too costly and that it just wouldn't be right, because I was looking in the future saying, we need to be self-sufficient, so why can't we save that $20-some thousand, $30,000 and that's not why we can't do it ourselves. And they were saying that it was just too much, I guess, as far as raising the funds to get a water waste treatment system here in the town. Then, with this water capacity, I look at Jackson, Mississippi, as we all know, they have a water problem, and I don't know how they're going to stop theirs without getting help from the government. So I was wondering, do we ask for the government to help get this whole thing rebound be done once we have to wait about a couple of years. To get that started.
Are there any other comments? So let's just say. I know we discussed it, so if you would like to go ahead. Sure.
So I'll get back to there. The questions, sadly, we're here today talking about it. They'll never be enough money. Right now, the way our system is, I can't tell you what our capacity is. I can't tell you if we have another development. I don't have it. It will take an expert to come in to tell us what that is. What I can tell you is, I know that our infrastructure is in a state of disrepair. I don't know what the useful life it is, or what it is. It's something that is sort of in the minds. Now, as far as building our own facility, it is an option. We'll have to evaluate what that is. What is the cost? What are the funding streams that can support that cost? And we have to start thinking about those things today. Because we cannot always rely on municipalities to provide the services to us. So I shared at our meeting that we put a notice that our capacity is limited. We don't have any cross connections with other municipalities. I don't believe we have any for water, which means we're on our own. If something happens, we're on our own. And we don't have a backup plan other than bringing water trucks in. So these are things that need serious attention. We need to get someone in to develop a plan and also determine what that cost is. Now, CPH did do an evaluation to say it's going to be about 75 million soon. Water, I don't have those numbers, but we need to get serious about the type of infrastructure that's required for this. Once we have costs, once we have useful life, once we understand what our growth projections are, then we get better able to understand what capacity needs we'll have to build for. That will determine the cost, and then we can go and ask for a grant and ask for
When you say 75 million sewer, is that just the pipes, or that's, or you just saying?
that is essentially to replace the pipes. Yes. 5.9 million. Some refurbishments, but you're looking at that was a couple of years ago that number came about. So based on current year costs, we're looking close to 100.
Is it safe to say that since we're in a payroll state that we can go to the government and ask for the whole funding, with the infrastructure bill about
See, the issue is we don't have documentation to say here is the state number. It's piecemeal. And we need a complete document to say this is the condition of our infrastructure. This is what's needed, and this is how much it's going to cost. So I would recommend us going and getting funding. Yes, funding is available, we can get it, but I think these things should be in order. We need to understand what that is, what the magnitude of the situation is. Because if we don't, we'll be guessing.
I know we got a water tower down here. I think you go, maybe some equipment to us to put on water. All down, look, for water down there. On my property. What part of that? Because I think we can use the water from like definitely get enough water. Down there. I think it's fun for that person. So, I don't think
Yes, Councilman Daniels.
Mr. Singh, what's the estimated time that we could get someone in to go ahead and analysis of?
So there's a couple of options you have. As the council, you have the authority to make certain decisions in terms of sole sources. If you want an RFP, it's going to take a while. If you want us to sole source it, that would be, say, 2-3 months, perhaps more, to get someone in to start conducting the service. We have private entities on contract right now that are capable of doing something.
That's what's the estimated cost to have this study?
Someone like the CBA give us a good point.
So is this something that we work on to have for the next council meeting? Because I mean, we keep going back and forth with it. And if we don't go ahead and fix it, sooner or later, we're gonna be at a state of,
Be here 5 years.
right. So I would love if we can go ahead and just start working on that. Let's just go ahead and move forward. I mean, this has been going on for years and people keep saying what we need to do, but no one will action towards. So
if you all decide that's the approach you want to take,
If we go to the minutes from Mr. Singh's report last meeting, there are a couple of things. When you're talking about any plan, it doesn't matter what plan or even how thorough and effective the plan is, you're still going to need finance. And one of the things that, and I'm reading from last meeting's minutes, is to develop a short and long range financial model to develop a 5-year capital improvement plan. It seems to me that we first, no matter what kind of plan it is, if you look into the water capacity for future developments, it is going to require other municipalities or other partnerships in most cases. And with that being said, then what are we coming with? And if we don't have our own finances taken care of, or at least know where we are, then what are we coming with? We don't even know. You know, and even if we look at some of the relationships we've had with other municipalities, some of those relationships don't exist because of our financial instability. So honestly, right now, even as important as this decision is, there is the next step. And the next step is to get our financial model together and that 5-year capital improvement plan. And then we can look at letting the plan for the water capacity be a part of that. I don't think we're too far out. How far out are we from a 5-year plan? Just realistic, are we like March, April, May?
well, that's 5-year plan that would require study to tell us what the cost is now.
Correct.
When I spoke about the developing financial model, it's one is to tell us where we are today. And I can, I'm waiting for the information from our finance director to give me the data so I can build a model. But what I've seen so far, we really don't have anything close to what we want to fund the 5-year plan. Now, the 5-year plan would require also studies and experts to develop. So we can do this concurrently. We can develop the financial model at the same time, start with getting an estimate of what it would take to get us where we need to be. So we can go to the feds or the states and say, here's our situation, here's what we're short, here's what we need.
But my point would be, even in the 5-year capital improvement plan, this item would be something that would be taken into consideration in preparing that plan.
Absolutely.
Right, and I do know that we need to know the information or put it into a larger plan, but we do need to have a larger plan and to know where we are financially, because that will restrict it as well. So I do understand leaving the plan. But this next step, the short and long term financial model, is a pretty important step. And that's my point.
Right, and I can agree with you, man, that we need to have that financial plan, but also what Mr. Singh has said, we do need to go ahead and move forward, because how can we financially plan on it if we don't know? And then we could be able to build those relationships with other municipalities, because once we have that built out, then we can know the projectile or what, if we can go to Winter Park, we can go to Maitland or whoever to make the plan, actually tie in together. So I think it's important that we go ahead and do it now, because if Mr. Singh is saying now it's gonna take almost 3 months, if we wait till the finances get done and now we're in August, September, now we're in a whole nother year of trying to keep this, and now we're in a state of emergency again. So I think we need to go ahead and move forward with getting this information as soon as possible.
Any other? All right, next item, the use of the town of Eatonville's logo.
Okay, I have observed that over the last 2 months, 3 months, the new logo before that. The town logo has been used for a lot of reasons. Some of them were used for special meetings and collaboration with groups, organizations, businesses, different words. And it's embarrassing to me that a town official the logo is being used by others for certain purposes. And I'm going to ask our town clerk, this is no way of leading people. These things are and also your show up. You can see the town logo is on all these flyers. When these series of events come, there's no problem with these things going on. But this is not an endorsement of the town of this council. And I don't know what everyone is aware of this, but when a logo is used, we should never assume that you can use a trademark of logo, especially of a government. The town of Eatonville is a government. And I don't know how people come to be authorized users of these logos. I don't think that right now. I don't request to see whether or not we do have anything pertaining to logos. When you get telephone calls from other people, they are asking me questions which I don't know. I don't know of social media for how people. If they use social media, you cannot use a government logo for an endorsement of any activities going on unless it's been approved. And I use it for my own personal gain. There's a couple slides that I'm doing that one where there were other members of the planning board at these meetings. And when you see things like this going on, is that an endorsement for us? I don't think so. So if you're going to use a logo for whatever you're part of, use your own logo. PDC should be using their own logo for these workshops or these community settings. Not the town logo. That should not be tolerated. But on anyone, any employee, any official, anybody, nobody has authorization to do this. And there could be serious consequences and liabilities for using the town logo for events that we have no endorsement of.
What is it? A trademark? You not trademark, it's on the shirt, like, you
But you know, a lot of people do a lot.
I'm saying though, but
They don't, they're not aware if they're doing something wrong. But of course, they have always been doing it.
the trademark, it's free.
Ready for me?
Yes.
Whatever.
That's Miss Councilwoman Randall, that was an event that the developer had. The town had nothing to do with it. So is it okay for developers to do it, but not okay for the mayor to do it and informing the citizens? That's the first thing. With the turkey giveaway, I don't have that flyer as well, because I knew it would be because I knew this was on the agenda. I don't have that flyer. The town logo was on that. And the mayor had, I didn't even give direction to the administrative staff to be there. And you had the police there, the home set up, public works was there. And I had nothing to do with that setup. Is that okay?
I don't think the town will do this.
If I checked. And I don't have it with me, but that's okay, you know, if we disagree. But on this one, it is there.
No, it's Friday.
And see, when you started this, you never did come to the council to discuss that you're doing this until it was like the third meeting. When you said that it was with, there's no problem about that. But it's been many times things are started here in this town, we have no knowledge of it. And how would you like for someone to be calling you, knocking on your door, sending you flyers, and you're a town official, you have no knowledge of these things? I think that is so improper. It's so impolite and disrespectful.
And I hear that's word. But you have it coming.
I don't know anything about that, Mike. It's the first time I.
You like that event.
I'm speaking about this shit, about.
Okay, so, and I, okay, so let me go back, and I don't want this to be. But if we are going, okay, let's get a policy, let's establish a policy, so it's a process, but I do understand that. But when you're in this setting, let's make certain that it applies all the time. We're in this setting, so if that is no problem for us, come up with the policy, we can do it and start from there. All right. Yes, Councilman Martin.
I'm gonna agree with both of y'all. It's not something on the inside. I believe in free speech and all that good thing, so it's not good for the developer. And I think PC got to be very careful being a 501c3, getting involved with political stuff. So they need to know that should be a 501c4 that does that, not a 501c3. You know, you can't take sides on a matter. But also what I would say is, my issue is with the logo, 2 residents, I won't call their name out loud, but they had these flyers put inside their mailbox. And they thought it was a town-sponsored something going on. That's my issue. Because no one is allowed to put anything inside of a mailbox. That's a federal offense. So that's why I have a problem with it. We have stuff that's going out. Now, if a council person decides that they're gonna be in conjunction with another organization, then the town local can go on because they're in their, if they're in their official capacity, then they're in their capacity, then it could be used. But for organizations to be putting stuff out or developers to put stuff out, I've been one component of been saying it across the board with everybody that that's where you have the MOUs, that's where you have stuff that's in writing, stating what's going to be done. Because we'll just use this one since it's up on the screen. If that developer did not do what they said they were going to do, people were going to come back and say that was the town. And that goes back to the same thing with, I'm gonna call that with the Main Street putting on something with the town logo. Everybody think that was the town. We have to have clear understanding of what's a town sponsored event or what someone is just putting on inside of the historic town.
Right, so what public policy?
Who owns the logo? Who owns the logo?
The town.
Where, says where, on the logo?
Who created it?
But if you don't see a TM on the side of it, you don't own it. You have to copyright. Is it copyright?
So,
Okay, it's not copyright.
why we have this discussion at another time?
No, I'm saying, it's discussion. Is it copyright? Yes or no?
The person that designed that, Ron Kelly, the first portrait, stamp, was already a person. Which never made it to the public because the postal service decided to do it for their own. So Ron Kelly, the same drawing he did for this town, because he was actually was this particular here of town. Now, whether or not we have a patent on it, trademark on it, I don't know.
Just two minutes, it's two things. Okay, with Superman, when he had a bomb shut down here, across the fence. Then Disney, all that stuff, they did that.
They
That's
did.
why he used it. When Luke Skywalker used this thing, he could use it on, because what? Luke Skywalker, Star Wars owned that thing. Dude, owned his right to the logo.
Let's do our alternative.
That's what I'm saying, so you can't sit here and tell, if not use something, you're not following, you're not kind of a problem. Well, I'm just saying.
But not only that, but the CDC, one of those photos, I didn't do it.
But I'm just saying.
It was like one of those photos, there was 3 council members, including myself, pictures that were on the board with either thumbs down. And if I'm not mistaken, Mayor, weren't you at that particular session that was going on at the library? When you had 3 of the councils, I'm one, Councilman Daniels was there. And there was some other members that were there probably at the library. Okay, you were there. But like I said, if you want to use a logo, you want to try to reference that to, this is a town meeting. No, that was political. That was a political stunt that was done, even though the property law firm were doing there at the meeting. It was just improper and very disrespectful. Everyone that I came in contact with said that was so disrespectful. And you're sitting in the meeting of all.
It was a PowerPoint.
Whatever it was, it doesn't matter. You were there. Were you there?
Right now,
Were you there?
and I'm glad you're saying that because there's always a point which is being made for these, which is why we go back to that whole series of meetings came about because of, I believe you were saying to the developer at the time that the citizens need to be informed. Those meetings stem from that statement. So and I've said this, and I always say this, whenever there's an opportunity to inform the citizens, which all 3 of those meetings were about, it was open to anyone, both sides in between, it didn't matter. If you were there with a stance or no stance, just listening, it was still open to you. And everyone knew about it. I can't say the same for everything else. So yes, I was there to hear, but at every meeting I've been in, I was actually the first or second meeting that I stayed for the whole meeting. And I've always said that my being there did not state one way or another. But I'm always for citizens being informed. And that to me is what those meetings were all about. But again, that's always the reason for this logo issue. So we'll come up with a policy that benefits or that's for all, as many situations as there can be. I don't know. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I would like to hear CEO, and once again, I'm gonna hear his point. But even the Attorney Shepherd, even in his meetings, when it comes down to perception, even when we are council people and we meet at these meetings, it's the perception of what could possibly you be talking about, or what we're talking about. Same thing with perception of having those logos on any type of item, a paper or a flyer will say that, oh, the town of Eatonville is aware of this, or they're a part of this. And it's funny that we sit up and argue about it, because we know deep in our heart that's not right. Whether we own it or not, we know that we don't put our logo on anything that we're not a part of. Now, Holstein, they put this on because they partnered with us before. We, as council people, we stay out of this and we let administration have this. So we all know that Manny is part of Holstein. We all know that Manny gives to this organ to our citizens and our kids. Now, you mean to tell me that you would have a problem with Manny, this flyer of Manny putting our logo on, saying he's giving some for the holidays?
So you're okay with
So-
the developer associated with our logo, but not the
so-
mayor?
So when you're saying the mayor is putting on a flyer saying certain things that this board hasn't agreed on, now if that's your preference, that you want to inform the citizens about your particular view on the development, that's on you. Now, your face should be on there only, not the town logo.
So we
Now-
represented the town.
Now, what I'm gonna do is turn it over to the CAO, because I'm next question, turn it over to him and hear his perception or his evaluation on this logo being.
I got a question.
Councilman.
So you still telling me the mayor can't put the community, or this community, can't put the kind of logo on it? Come on, guys.
Any of us can put on our information, if it's something that we're hosting.
It was here.
So she was hosting it?
It was like,
She hosted
she's here, it's on
it?
like.
Yes or no?
So
She was hosting it.
So you hosted
Does the
it?
host invite?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, so are we playing with forest as a host invite? But that's okay. We're not gonna argue this point. What you just said, just what I know you meant, that it is okay for developers to associate with the town, but not this name, because the former mayor was there as well. So maybe that was the association. That's okay. Mr. Singh.
No, my hand is raised.
Yes,
Please
Vice.
don't put words in my mouth. If I didn't say it, please don't, so you can ask me. I didn't mean whatever you're saying about former mayor being there or Holstein can do this. It's all about perception. I did not say whatever you're saying is okay because the former mayor was there and that whatever your perception is on that. I'm saying that if our logo goes on anything, it should be approved by this board or somebody in policy saying that they can put our logo on there.
When that ever happened?
It's
Mr.
understood.
Singh.
When that ever happened?
Uh,
The question. When has that ever happened? Think of it before. 10 years, 15 years ago, had that ever happened? A logo wasn't part of the discussion.
And it is okay if that
We
wasn't
still
done
talking
that
about the
way.
logo.
It's okay if it has not been done that way in
What's
the
your,
past.
what's the violation? If somebody uses the logo? What's the violation? I mean,
Councilman Daniels and.
Yeah, and there was the thing. So, Councilman Washington, I just want to give you a point of reference, technology. City of Winter Park, Orange County government, City of Orlando, I just looked at all the logos, none of them have T on them.
I mean, but-
What we worry about this? Who uses the logo? Do you know anybody use the logo?
The City of Orlando is not gonna let you use their logo.
I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm done. You go
I'm
ahead.
just saying, we don't know that. You just saying what they don't have on the big.
Because there may be a policy. We'll present a policy. Mr. Singh.
Let me back up. There are two kind of paths you can go. Start with the external. Using a logo or a company's better. Serious matters. Companies that can provide hundreds of millions of dollars to people utilize a logo, a letterhead. Stamp. So it's an important representation of the organization. When an outsider is using it, we should exercise all of our powers to make sure it's controlled. That's one. The second is internal. That there are certain best or normal practices when it comes to disposal by employee or equipment. That is up to you. You all decide what you want, who should use it, how they should use it. That is all up to you. And you can follow certain normal policies, like here in Central Florida. But when it comes to outsiders using it without approval, like for example, this one here, if it was used without the organization's approval, that's an issue. That's misrepresentation. And that's where the attorney would have to find. And coming back to TM, you know, again, these are legal matters when it comes to trademarks, copyright, registration. You know, you typically don't trademark or copyright letterhead. It all comes back down to representation or misrepresentation.
Right, the next item. Building permits. Household.
This building, I'm sorry, but I believe myself here. This one picture of the building. It looks like this. This came about from two residents who had built who wanted to know about these. They were under the assumption that the town receives impact fees. But there's impact fees on the building permits and to the building permits. The funds goes to the county. Now, this particular building permit here, the total collected was around $18,500. And out of that, there was about $11,000 that went to Orange County School, the city of Altamont for the and the remainder of it, the remainder of it, but this just to show you exactly building the in this home here, this was a home for 17 or 100 million. The home rent cost was $150,000. This home sold for so the fees that the builder had to pay totally, like I said, about $18,000. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that we do get fees such as the building permits. We got another situation with resident certain properties, and we speak to the building permit person, and also it's the city. They are aware of some issues that we're going to be working on to improve overall process with building permits.
Any comments?
That's why I never seen it before. It's not hard. It's not hard without talking about it. I'm just saying, I understand. Yes. Stop it.
I thought you were finished. Are you finished, Councilwoman?
No, I was saying that because a citizen, a resident, this is the reason why I'm saying. Because I have a person that's here in the building now, this is being referred to as the same, this looking to it. And to check out, make sure that things are done.
Councilwoman.
I don't know the proper process. was missing. Trying to talk about this, I didn't understand further. That's what I'm
So,
saying.
wait, are you is your issue regarding the documents in your hand or the issue that's being resolved with
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Singh?
would you know that?
So,
Problem process.
so here's what I hear Councilwoman Randolph saying, is that we don't have impact fees. So errors can be made like this. But impact fees would drastically help if it was like one fixed fee. Then we wouldn't have to do with all these little line by line impact fees. Okay, next, anyone else?
Mr. Singh had this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But, do we have a fee schedule or legal fee schedule and all those things?
That,
Because that's why you know there. That's all.
so wait, Mr. Singh, wait a minute, we've always had a fee schedule. I mean, so do we speak of that now, or
Well,
do you get with the administration for administrative matters? Yes,
I said you, and it was prior to Mr. Singh, so I'll bump it back up to them.
regarding this,
Regarding link fees, fee schedules and all that, that was sent out prior to, probably over 60 days ago. But I'll do the courtesy, Mr. Singh has been good about it, I'll bump it back up to him to get that information.
Mr. Singh,
Just a couple of points. Regarding what the street have approval for the app. So I have staff researching the process for implementation. Hoping to get that. Regarding Councilwoman's item on the bill, the residential bill. She's brought this to my attention. In fact, the owner of one of the properties called me and had a schedule. Frankly, it's unfortunate that our process is terrible. We have things on the wrong line that describe it's different. We have certain line items that were charged too low. And it's inconsistent from one to the next. So we have a lot of internal work to do to get this to the professional level.
thank you, Mr. Singh. Next item, discussion of maintaining proper communication inside public meetings. Councilwoman.
Okay, this topic will concern proper communication. And we start off with says, according to the recent report in the National Legal Series, have experienced some form of harassment, abuse, violence in the office. We propose to say the general public may be less inclined to participate in meetings that frequently turn negative about this could result in council's only hearing from a very vocal minority of their community who may not represent the thoughts, feelings, and purposes of the community as a whole. All this came about at the last meeting during public participation. We had a person who did speak at the podium. And I just want to briefly reflect on this fact of this council, and this councilwoman, not condone racist comments and extremes that could be very offensive to others in our residents. You may say, well, what did that person say? It really didn't. or it could be made, such as writing, that should not be tolerated. I do realize that we do have people speak now. That's what we're praying, because we don't want to be the government. There are a lot of these things, and if we're condoning these things in our hands, and this should not be. So, you know, please be respectful and train for these types of behavior and language. See very serious consequences in the perception of our country. We realize that this town, at least I do, and I appreciate it, this town started from the backs of 3 white people. So we should be very proud and still at the same time welcome everyone. I have heard all different types of comments from different ones stating that the state that we are not a melting pot. We are the melting pot. I want to get that correction. We have people here from all different backgrounds. We have people here from all different countries that are presently here. And a lot of these people are people of different, and they will be different to your personal. So will you. So let's just let people see us as to who we really are, because that's what it's all about.
So, I definitely concur with you, Councilman Randolph. And I think I mentioned even on the first hearing that we had for one of the developers. But I stand firm on you're not, you know, otherwise cultures are different. I don't want the culture of our town to be canceled out. And even within our town, there are different cultures. We can come together, we can plan, we don't have to. Because they just put one word tradition, one word culture. It's so much more beautiful to see the different aspects of culture. That's why I say we're not in Milton. It's not a condescension. It is an acknowledgement that we are all different and should all be accepted for those differences. So thank you for allowing the opportunity for that to clarify if it was misunderstood by anyone. And
comments that represents
I guess my comments come from, I can't remember this council, just like you, Councilwoman Randolph. Accept me, I accept you. I concur with the first part of your thoughts. I concur, I said your thoughts. Because it came from you, so my thoughts come from you. Oh, and that's okay. So we're not a melting pot. So yes, absolutely. And we appreciate each other's different thoughts. The only other thing I do say to that council, it's hard to tell the participants, the attendees, to act right. When we're still working on things. You know, so the challenge is with us. If we're going to have someone do as we say, then we need to do as we say. But I don't think that goes well if people are saying, that's why I don't like this or like him or like her. You know, that's okay. But let's all get it right together. So There was another item, Councilman Daniels, did you want to speak?
I'm just trying to take everything in on this last thing. We are a group of people that have come a mighty long way, and I think we just got to be very careful on our choice of words. Words have a deep root all the way around, so just be careful on that. My other thing that's not on the agenda that we're trying to, and I have been in contact back and forth with the CAO. I have great concerns for the residents of the historic town of Eatonville in reference to the Zora Festival, as I stated in numerous emails. The Zora Festival is upon us in less than 30 days. It has not come before us, the residents, businesses, on what is going to transpire at that time. Every year, we have the same thing. Now, last year I said it here and I said, hey, we need to start a lot earlier and get this information out. I've been saying this for the last 3 months. And now for me to receive information that I guess the Zora Festival is going to go on, road closures and all those things, I think it's a slap in the face to residents of the historic town of Eatonville, as well as business owners of the historic town of Eatonville. I have told Mr. Singh that the Zora Festival should be a benefit to the business and the residents of the historic town of Eatonville. And recently I pulled some documentation that in the last 2 to 3 years, taxpayer dollars, taxpayer dollars have been given to the Zora Festival. And every year we're trying to charge, not we, PEC is trying to charge the residents fee when their taxpayer dollars have been given to that organization. I think it's another disgrace that it's not acceptable. So, Mayor, I'm here just to say that we have no MOU in place. We're talking about January 28th, impacting traffic flow. We're talking about affecting businesses in the historic town of Eatonville and all those things. And PC did not even have the audacity to come forward. They didn't have the wherewithal, and Ms. NY is big on saying economics. The economics is you're going to affect other businesses and other entities within this community, and she has to get her due diligence. So I want to know where we're standing on that matter.
Okay, so Ms. NY is very, and we've had this discussion. Ms. NY, PDC has been working with the entities they've worked on getting that road taken care of going to town. They have pretty much taken care of everything except for the one last piece, making sure that the law enforcement received. They simply missed the deadline for it to be on the January 3rd today's agenda. But you can get with Mr. Singh to know, but pretty much everything else is in place.
So my question to you, or Mr. Singh, is the road closure, and to my understanding, she's trying to use some of the town's property for the festival?
If I believe she would like to use the property across from the CRA building, the town's property right across from the CRA.
Okay, so she's trying to use that, she's trying to use town hall at all?
I don't remember. I have to confirm town hall, but I know that those sites are.
Okay, so that's on my town. So is there an MOU and is there insurance for this?
I mean, we could do a identification letter for that, but we just had an event. I said, you could have an identification to come to town for harmless.
And the police department will pay up front, correct? In full.
That's how it should go, Mr. Singh.
Well, my direction is to and to just to avoid some of the challenges we have. that was the agreement. Do not have an agreement. The expectation is that the town will not incur costs, any direct costs. Funding, subsidizing, police services. That's the,
What about tipping? Has she said anything about tipping?
I haven't seen. All I'm aware of what was approved last year. I haven't seen, and that's all. I could not tell you exactly what that will look like, but if it involves town, it will have. We'll have some standard requirements in that.
That is it. It is the past 7:30, if everyone's okay. I'm going to move that we adjourn from our town council, from our council workshop. It's been moved, second.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, in 7:32. We adjourn the town council workshop, and we will reconvene about 7:40.
We can start whenever you're ready.
So at least 5. You want 5 minutes?
Yeah.
We'll be at 7:40, and then that allows anyone that wants to speak to please wait and give your citizen participation for. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this evening's council meeting. In order to reduce any and all unnecessary disturbances, please place your devices on silent, vibrate, or off settings. Additionally, if you would like to speak on any agenda item, please complete a citizen participation form. If, however, you will be speaking during the public hearing section of tonight's meeting, you will only be asked to state your name and address, which is optional for the record at that time. I'm also going to read one more statement. In order to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in this public meeting, please refrain from any remarks or actions that are disruptive or intended to be slanderous, obscene, offensive, threatening, or insightful in any way. Any speaker purposefully failing to comply with the above will be asked to leave the chambers. We have one. Thank you. The time is 7:40. We now open up our regular session of Historic Town of Eatonville Council meeting this Tuesday, January 3rd. Please, do we have a verification of quorum? Quorum.
Yes, we have.
Stand for an invocation by Pastor Becky. Followed by Pastor.
everything for the town council, we become educated, of the people out there. Think we're going to improve that for people. It's great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, but second. Aye. All opposed? Citizen participation.
Yes, we have 4. The first one I will do on behalf of Gracie Casey, who resides at 342 Amador Circle. Please remember and regard, this is Gracie Casey, and I like to recognize 2 real private police officers. Detective B. Lampton and Officer D. Although all the officers are exceptionally great, I had the opportunity recently to interact with 2 of them. Detective Lampton and Officer D. I want to thank you so much for speaking to my nephew, Elijah, and helping him to understand the consequences of his behavior and bad choices as he continues to make while he's in school. It was very impactful. It is so comforting to know that I live in a community where law enforcement is fully engaged and so willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. What you both did for Elijah and what you do for others will change the trajectory of their future. I would like to see the police explore, be revived again, as well as other programs that will benefit our youth and young people. I'm sure that it will be welcomed by our community. Continue to be safe and continue to keep this community safe. We love you. Second, citizen participation, Edward Cole.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, legal. I want to speak on a couple of things. That's what's the name. That means that they're looking for economic dollars to. How much economic development have they done? Check out the reason why they're in business or what they're doing. I had a flyer on my door. They had your town logo on it, have Pastor Madison call me, ask me what do we need to do, have some more residents ask what we need to do. Gotta be careful because this is not really looking good. It's part of something that's done by agencies. You have to be careful on that. I was with Teresa Jacobs at the school board. A lot of people don't know what income is. You got 7 acres or 6 acres of land, which is that L where we have the Fourth Festival, all the way down to the end of the school, to the beginning of Hungerford School. We have applied $5.9 million to the community investment university grant. So that means you're going to have to get that money before you start to make it happen. So in our time, we were saying we're going to use that $4 million to start the university grant. If all of the lights were, everybody that stood up here and said, how much they love you, has to bring us. And I worked with them 12 and 13. Their work was on. So even a lot of the names on that list are people that don't do. It's a lot of chat. And it's a lot of things are not true. Teresa Jacobs, or Chairman Jacobs, moved all the funds that we would have had to pay for them keeping it out, paid it for. So we're saying things that are not true. What's going to happen is
that system is bigger than ours. To our mouth is out. But my grandmother said it's like having, you don't have eye water to cry. So we must be careful what we say, how we say it, and understand economic development. It's a house on the corner right now for $270,000. It's an old house, and somebody's going to buy it. Why can't other people build houses? Why do everyone think African Americans are poor? If you don't have the money to buy it, that's okay. But there is so many that can buy those houses. I know that for a fact. I know that we get doing cooking and FAMU and those guys that are graduate and sell Eatonville like that flyer out there when they say come to Eatonville, they'll come here. My daughter would have came back, Vanessa, Nicole would have came back. Be careful of calling us poor. We can have whatever we want about it. Do whatever we want to do. Thank you.
Next, we have Brian Novick.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. First meeting of the year, right? The water thing that we talked about in the last one, there's a few things that I wanted to talk about, but now there's a few things that we need to talk about. Oh man, that's the sky's falling. You guys talk about it. I hope we can figure something out because I don't know nothing about that. The logo use though, very important, and all of you guys were right about it. So even if we didn't trademark the logo directly with state or federal, there's a common law trademark which applies to the city's logo. It should just be default trademark. Additionally, the state of Florida generally has a blended code for city trademarks as well, so that likely would pass down to what we have for use of it. But the city of Cocoa actually has a pretty well-written application for using a logo. So as you guys have talked about, very simple, just take a policy and then give them a we are not a melting pot. And I gotta say, I have probably been misusing that phrase for my entire life. The melting pot theory of multiculturalism assumes that various immigrant groups will attempt to melt together, abandoning their individual cultures, eventually becoming fully assimilated into the predominant society. I probably just use that in a blend of cultures, not fully understanding that melting actually meant, getting rid of culture. So yeah, I hope we're not about I like cultures that have. That was my previous things. Now onto the current ones. What I wish that I could have from everyone here, very simply, is some goals for 2023. I would really love to see what you guys have planned for the year, putting forth what your ideas are, what we want to get accomplished. I know what we start off day one in 23 is probably not how things are going to end at the end of the year, but it'd be pretty cool to see where you guys want to try to drive. Vice Mayor Daniels, you had said a number of times, progress to understand. And I want to say that in the back half of last year, those words not only resonated for me, but I also felt it from guys on the chamber in this council. And I want to thank all for that, to really stressing that point and making it make more sense for me. So I want to give Ms. King a lot of kudos because her responsiveness is bar none, and I greatly appreciate just how quick she is with getting responses, how well she can put together this presentation, so that if we don't grab these papers, well, we've got the meeting agenda right in front of us, which I greatly appreciate. And remember,
Thank you.
Next one and the last one. Angela Johnson. Good evening, council, fellow residents. I too would like to, I love her response. That's great. Part of our website has been rebranded, rebuilt. It actually looks like we have 2 different websites. So I would encourage that to be something I know we've been talking about for the last year with updating the town's website. I had an opportunity to look at the video from the last meeting prior to the Christmas holiday. Mr. Singh, thank you very much for restating a number of things that have been stated for the last 2 years that a number of us have been seeing. I think that you brought light to the fact that the prior administration just kind of failed the town with the proper oversight of our finances, the financial position, the lack of records to understand what the condition is of our infrastructure, pipe locations, whether or not those assets, what their now useful life is. All that stuff should be clearly stated in the financial statements, and hopefully we will get there. Which brings up a question for you. I know that on the consent agenda tonight is to hire a qualified CPA temporarily. If we can give some clarity of, is that specifically just to help them get through the audit that is currently, I guess, a little bit behind the schedule. And then when we look at the consent agenda again for the services of Plan Active Studio, you have a max of 40,000 at $175. That's about 28 hours. So the question is, how much time we have to contract over the last 6 months? Different projects that have been reviewed. And I don't know, rumor has it that we hired a planner. I'm not sure if that person was just doing simple plan review, and whether or not the amount that you're requesting is going to be sufficient for what the needs are of the town moving forward. I will echo what Ryan just asked as to what are the goals of 2023. At that meeting on December 20th, number we set up here and kind of just said, okay, we agree that we know where we are, and I'm going to again ask the question, will you come together for a planning retreat so that you're on the same page, so that you know where you're going, so that you can set the goals. And those are things that have been before you prior to Mr. Singh coming on board. That person that will be in the wheelchair so that we can move forward. And the current number of positions, I know there was an approval that was brought forward by you, Marlon, and it was about a compensation study. And some of this
Next item on the agenda is the public hearing, approval of public hearing of the rezoning request at 200 South Lake Destiny Drive.
Good evening, I'm Tara Salmary, town planning consultant for the mayor, vice mayor, council members, members of the board. And members of the board. This evening, what's before you, the planning item is development 2022.06 rezoning. The rezoning is for this vacant piece of land on 200 South Lake Destiny Drive. You'll see both of the maps. There's the zoning map is on the left and the future land use map is on the right. The request is to change the zoning classification from industrial zoning to a commercial zoning district. Currently, the existing zoning is I1, which is industrial. The future land use is commercial. The surrounding area of the land, you'll see the colors of the map will signify what that zoning district is. On the north side, it's commercial land use designation with commercial zoning. On the south is industrial with industrial zoning. East is industrial with industrial zoning, and then west is commercial with C3 zoning designation. I've put together in your packet as well that this table is provided in your comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan assigns a land use designation and the zoning assigns a zoning district. The intent of a future land use designation assignment is for zoning to be consistent with that land use. So what I've highlighted is if you have the designation for commercial land use, there are roughly 3 zoning districts that land can be assigned, that they're all commercial. The zoning districts for commercial land use has 3. There's C1, C2, and C3. I highlighted C1. That's the applicant rezone request. However, with the commercial land use designation, the applicant could have requested one of those 3 zoning districts. Just to note that C1 is the least intense of all the zoning districts for commercial. And then I also provided the board the idea. Your zoning doesn't have a lot of tables that you can look at things side by side, but I did a table so that you could look at what C1 uses are, C2 and C3. So those are just really informative for you to kind of know. If you look at the C1, it has the least amount of uses, and then if you look at the intensity when you go to 2 and 3, that just really means that you can have more uses and you can have more intensity. So currently, as I said, this property has an industrial zoning designation. The land use is commercial, so it's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. So today, I'll give you that example. That is, the applicant came forward and wanted to do a building on that. The town would have to deny any development because the industrial district is not consistent with the comp plan. So it renders this piece of land as is can't really develop. So the application is the lowest density, as I've said. It goes to C1. The rezoning will, once this gets rezoned, it becomes consistent with your comprehensive plan. It doesn't violate Florida state statutes. Next slide. And it really is compatibility with the surrounding area with the lowest intensity as well. So the planning recommendation is, by Florida statute, I've listed what the statute is. It requires all applications, the land development code to be consistent with the town's adopted comprehensive plan. So that this piece of land is not. The zoning, once it's rezoned, if this gets approved by the council, it becomes consistent with your comprehensive plan. The planning board heard this item on December 8th. They recommended approval. There's an ordinance attached as well. And the other thing that I want to say before I conclude is this does not give the applicant a right to develop without coming to this board with a site plan. So all this does is rezone the land to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. There is not a site plan to look at this point because they don't have the entitlements to actually do that. So if this gets rezoned, the applicant would have the ability to come back with a site plan and to have the board look at that as well. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is also here, and I also give him an opportunity to come and speak if he has anything that he would like to say. Available for questions as well.
Do you have any?
No.
The applicant speaks first, or do we?
No, that's typical. But before y'all get deciding, I would like to have Ms. Sullivan come back because I would probably have questions to make sure that they're record.
Good evening, Logan Opsahl, 215 Oakville Drive in Orlando. I really just want to introduce myself. I appreciate the context and the background information staff provided. This sort of inconsistency component, this idea, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens often enough that sometimes we need to do rezone. Here, it just so happens that the future land use and the requested zoning apply. They're consistent with one another. And as Tara noted, we are requesting C1 to try to make just a clean rezone without the high intensity that the other commercial zoning districts have. So this is step one to any sort of development. We look forward to working with the town. Of course, we need to come back before this body for any approvals. But just wanted to introduce myself and happy to answer any questions.
So we'll open up first before, or do you have questions over now?
I have questions that it may spur more questions. Just, I just really for clarification. So if I understand the presentation, the current comp plan and the current zoning do not fit together.
That's correct.
And so as between those two, the comp plan controls.
The comp plan is the board, yes.
So if the applicant came forward with an application to do something under the current zoning, it would have to be denied because it's inconsistent with the comp.
That's correct.
And so the way to fix that is either amend the comp plan with something consistent with zoning, which is usually the opposite of what you do, or amend the zoning, be consistent with the comp.
Correct.
And what they're trying to do is amend the zoning to something that's consistent with the comp.
Correct.
The floor is now open to anyone wanting to make any comments regarding this item.
Question.
Seeing that there is no speakers, we will go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this item.
Yes.
Vice President.
Question. I'm sorry, did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Any idea of what you, if this were to change zoning, any idea of what you would want? On that thing?
Currently, what's being discussed and planned is an office use.
Are there any other?
The last time we did this here. So I appreciate it.
And my question was this. I understand the C1, and I understand what our current comp plan allows. And I always have this question. So if right now we desire, we know the desire, but on the liquor lounge and the package store, the night, I know that's in our plan. So would we, even if we approve this, we have to perhaps amend our plan if we don't want, if we want that to be a special exception.
I mean, currently, the applicant moves forward with what a zoning district uses that are permitted. They're not special exceptions in C1. The board could have the opportunity to make a recommendation that you have one of a different zoning district if that was a concern, but and I can defer to the attorney as well. Is you can't change it by use if the use is already in that zone. Unless you
Yes.
unless you amend that, but at this time an application forward is not recommended.
Right now, there's no pending application for use, it's just for rezoning. But as if you look at the uses of the code and the zoning where they're permitted and move some of that around. And again, it's a big and because Mr. Upsall said that right now they're thinking about office use, but they haven't applied for any use. So in between now and the time they apply for a use, there's some use in there that you prefer to be as a special exception or some sort of additional thing, then yes, but you need to fast track it because what Ms. Mary is alluding to is once they file an application based on the use that's there and permitted, you really need to go look at whether they comply and the application meets all the criteria as opposed to whether you like it.
Does this mean that this is?
So
It's a zoning map, the zoning map and the assignment of the zoning district to this parcel of land from an industrial zoning district to a commercial zoning district, which is C1. That's the applicant's request. And that does does make the zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Any other?
And it's only one hearing on this, correct?
Correct. For the rezone, but not for development.
Right. And when was this put out for residents?
For the town clerk for that.
Yeah, 15 days prior to,
So it was posted?
yes. Posted on the website, posted on the book.
Yeah, no, I did find words on December 8th. So it's been posted multiple times.
And it's just one hearing for
Yeah, just for the amendment of the zoning map, yes.
And I'm glad you put this C1, C2, C3 in there because it changed so much. So retail store, personal service store, business professional office, which that's what Mr. Armstrong is saying right now. Business and financial service, liquor lounge, package store, or night above. What is considered essential services?
Well, your code is pretty loose on what that definition is. There isn't a real tried and true definition in the legal code of what's considered essential. So then what you would do is you would refer to Webster on what essential services.
I will say that it, based on the pandemic, we've had a whole lot of things to think for essential.
Off-street parking and holding.
Can you, are you finished?
Right now, but
Ms. Samari, one question. Can you think of an example of recommendation of improvement part with or without conditions in denial of part? Can you think of anything?
I personally can't, but I would ask maybe the attorney. I would. It's the condition of approval.
D.
It's the, when you look at that, it's just a standard item to put.
In certain types of rezonings, you can impose certain conditions, or conditions can be agreed to by the applicant. As an example, if whatever if we're not, they don't have a plan where we know that, but they could agree to, well, we're gonna add a buffer on the inside property of that, so you could add a condition. We're not that stage, that you site plan and all that stuff. And in terms of the eligible to denial in part, it would depend on whether this was a situation where it doesn't apply here, but sometimes you have more than one parcel, so one is on this and one is on that. And so you might say, this is okay here, but that's not okay here.
So we have to amend this for the zoning for the property, which say if you love.
No, there's not, right now, there's no application for a specific project. This is just to get the land use under your comp thing, which again, if you look at the hierarchy, that sits up here, and then your zoning will be consistent. Right now, they're inconsistent. You've got this land use and all the things that would flow down from that. It's not any of those. The applicant is trying to bring it over here where it's consistent, because while it's over here, they can't even apply for it. It's not, it would automatically be done. At least if they get it under a consistent category, whether that's C1, C2, or C3, then they have a list of uses and they can figure out, okay, now we know what we can do with the property.
questions on nightclubs. By statute, what are considered nightclubs?
I'm not a statute currently for that question.
Will adult entertainment fall upon a nightclub?
Oh, no, that's a separate ordinance.
Could it be put there? I want to see one.
Not unless y'all do it.
Not unless we do that, but currently today, no, that they're regulated differently. It can't be folded under that.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you. So, what are you guys?
No, I need to read the pre-app.
This is good.
Or
Ordinance number 2022-13. Changing the zoning classification from I-1 industrial to C1 commercial on certain real property containing approximately 3.70 acres, finding such zoning to be consistent with the Eatonville Council plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official town zoning map, repealing inconsistent ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for anything.
All right, the motion is on the floor to approve the rezoning. Ordinance 2022-13. Has been moved and seconded. All,
Discussion.
yes.
So, prime example, and now we just came out of a workshop talking about implementation, water, and all those things. Do we know of adding on, still talking about development, adding on to this area, what implication this would have on our water system? Because now we just got done talking about it, but this was the importance, man, that I was talking about the study to know, could our water, I guess I never seen. Do we know if a structure of this size or because of the land acreage, if our system can handle it at this moment?
Mr. St. Brian, speaking. This is about zoning, so even if we had a plan, it's still zoning inconsistency. So, Mr. Singh, you may address it.
Right, public services. And I get that, man, but this is all about the dialect and the conversation before we make a decision. Because we make a decision and then it start moving. I don't want to hear this back, oh, we did this and it wasn't done right. That's why we have to make educated decisions right now, know all the parts of the puzzle right now.
Mr. Singh.
I get that part. Even if I know what the task is, we don't know what's going to develop. Offices, two offices, 10 stories, 2 stories high.
If I, what I would say is that the question that Councilman Daniels has, is probably more suited during a site plan review, and that you can look at that versus, deciding whether or not an assignment of a zoning district is, the correct thing to do. Is really the capacity question that you're asking is very relevant in a site plan review. So I think to know that that's something when staff develops a site plan review for this, that you're expecting to know that answer is appropriate in that stage.
It's a different way to answer that question, which is exactly the same, but to make it understandable is that right now, because of the nature of the type of hearing, quasi-judicial, the only question before you is, does it meet requirements? And is there any evidence that it doesn't? And if there's no evidence that it doesn't, your choices are very limited. But in terms of when they do make an application, things like site plan, impact on neighbors, setbacks, other stuff, capacity, which by the way, the town should already know its capacity, so that point is correct. But yeah, all that stuff comes into play, and it should be reviewed at that time through the competent staff. Your utility people should look at water. Your fire people should look at fire. Your police should look at police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that's called development review, and it's supposed to be part of the package that ultimately comes here.
Thank you. With that being said, it's been moved in second. All in favor of ordinance 2022-13, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Mrs. King, please roll call.
Actually, Councilwoman Brando. Councilman Washington. Mayor Garden.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Daniels. Councilman Daniels.
opposed? So we, guys have it. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for the town council meetings, plan active studio, sports services contract, carrying of a temporary CPA and a CPA proposal. Been moved, is there a second? Moved in second, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? I really only heard.
Just point of order. Just point of order, if you don't, Robert rules of order, if you don't hear a nay, that means that it's yes vote, not correct.
If you don't hear it, well, the answer is it's taken as a yes vote, but it also is, if you're not sure you had three, then the voice go into the room.
But when you say you nays and you don't hear nay, that means no way.
I can't hear much anyway, so, but yes. I have it in the motion.
All right, so the reports. There are no council decisions. Mr. Singh.
Just quickly, continuing to work on all the things I mentioned in the last meeting. Just to give you a quick update regarding assessment fee, our assessment fee, law enforcement assessment. Want to make sure. Case, city of Al. District Court of Appeals ruled that the city of Ocala inappropriately levied a fire assessment. And the city had to put aside $79.3 million to reimburse all of those things. So I say this because I know we want to get where we want to go, we want to do things quickly, but certain things cannot be rushed. These things require a certain amount of year. We know this council approved the study, have the fire assessment fee report, have a law enforcement fee report. Law enforcement is a little more complicated than fire. And I am not comfortable with the report that was done, which may require us to start. Just one year. And council, you can have comments.
Well, my turn, the fire thing, I had fought and we discussed it with the mayor, and we pulled it because it was a long vehicle to get to the location we were headed. So if you were on a hearse, you need to be on a fire engine. And hearse is where you don't want to be ever. And they were all gonna end up there, but not in a hurry. And so that was the idea. And so we provided some information to the town on how to go forward from there. If you want to go with a type of assessment, there's a way to go about it. And the way we were headed is the one that's going to get you in the cattle truck. So we take care of that. The only other thing I have for my report is I would still encourage the town to prioritize a retreat or whatever you want to call it. So I can talk about some of the things that I think will help us get off on a firm and good start for 2020.
Thank you. Councilman Daniels.
First off, happy New Year to everyone. We're at a very pivotal moment in the history of the town of Eatonville. And there's been a lot of things that's been said on the workshop, and now we have to be very careful on how we portray stuff and the caliber of information that we're receiving or we're taking in. I would tell anybody to take the opportunity, instead of taking stuff and running with it, to really do your due diligence and gathering information and research. It's almost like we have people that's constantly standing up saying things because they're being instructed to say it by certain individuals and certain entities to pretty much, stick to cap, try to make us move in a certain direction or whatever. I have better respect for people when they generally do it from the heart than to have alternative motives in doing things. And if we truly want to move this community forward in 2023 and beyond, we really have to take time to do some self-reflecting on what's going on and what's been done in the past, what's happening right now, and what is to come. So I just want to encourage everybody to gather your data, gather your information, and take a true assessment of what's going on. We have quite a few things that's going on. I won't mention it out loud, but we received an email 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I'm gonna trust that Mr. Singh and the mayor is gonna address that issue that came over the Reference Shop Police Department. Public safety is important, and we constantly are having issues around America where people are having hate crimes and doing certain different things. So our public safety needs to be at the forefront. Our residents deserve that. Not only do our seniors, our mothers, our fathers, our children, everybody deserves to make sure that they're in a safe environment. So let's just encourage that going forward. As I stated before in the last thing, I would like to have more information on the Zora Festival. We discussed it in workshop. And last year you said that would be the last time that this happened. We really need to have some clarity on the Zora Festival. I sent an email to the CAO, I think it was on yesterday after I received the flyer, just stating that no cost should be incurred by the residents of the historic town of Eatonville. The Reserve Eatonville Community PEC is their own independent board, and any cost that's associated with that, since they didn't give us the due diligence of planning this event out and knowing what's going on, they shouldn't incur all the costs, and it shouldn't be at the cost of the taxpayer dollars. That organization has already received over $75,000 for taxpayer dollars. So I'm gonna be asking that organization also remember that $75,000 taxpayer dollars need to be considered and not charge the residents for the upcoming Zora Festival. We just have to just stay our course. Things are happening behind the scenes, things are going forward. Don't be discouraged, don't be dismayed. That delay that you're seeing, things not moving forward, is not a denial. Things are happening, and things will be seen in the upcoming future. Thank you.
Councilman
Sure. I didn't think about it. Let's say, for the night time, what we like.
Well, I have a couple of concerns. First of all, if anyone knows historically, Eatonville has really been forefront of activities here in our town. Have not received any information about who's coordinating it, who's over the vendors, or anything like that. Any type of information to disseminate to the council. Also, visited the Black Bears website the other day. And I saw where there are events, as always, will be here in town. Last year, this year, at the place, the council was not invited. That was something that was on the practice. But I'm going to pass. All years of years since I've been here. 76. So I'm saying they're going to be here every year for the Zora, there's the Zora race. But I would like to know if we've already got something else that they experiencing, but they're always supposed to be. Okay, so there, who is spearheading the MLK parade activities.
I will. I'll let you know.
As well as vendors, over the vendors. Also, what's going on with code enforcement? Because I'm seeing the code enforcement officer is also over the recreation department. So are we gonna hire the recreation supervisor?
I'm gonna get back to it, and here's why. If there's a question, just quickly, just send it email to Mr. Singh, and we can do that address. But you, if you like to respond to that last one, just say it.
So you can ask the question.
I can, but if you like that address, please send it to Mr. Singh. And we'll do that.
I had two photos that I want to understand. Love meeting, the building over on the left side, the right side, on the west. Side of that wall is come down. It still is an eyesore and a safety hazard to the travelers as well as people who back up to the groups. So something really needs to be done. I don't know what is taking action or safety because it's a major hazard. The top of that building, you can see it on the side of the street. It's falling off. I want everyone to be aware of that particular danger it has, especially when children coming to school. So just be cautious of that. Also, there was two individuals that complained about the negative process out there in the area. We're not only there, but all over. So centrally, supposedly we have a schedule to come out with something about that. It's been a long process because people are thinking that the boxes are active. Some of them are, and some of them have the wires torn out of those boxes. So just be cautious about those boxes. And also, I'd like to know, what is the update? Is this another question that I need to go to Mr. Singh? What is the update on the West Point Tower? This is a very poor appearance on the west side.
Would you?
That you prefer this to you, Mayor, or Mr. Singh?
Well, I guess my question would be, the west water tower should have been done with the prior administration. I know the fencing and the area around it. So I definitely have to get back to see what that works for them, because I just believe it's.
All right, the last thing that I have is the second reading on the property. This is a flyer that was given to me, some flyers, that it says that it's projected to be February 7th. How did they know this and we don't know this as council members? Because at the last meeting, you stated that that particular meeting. But how did they know about February 7th? How did they come about? I'm asking the question.
And I'm ready. I will guess. I'm you, vice mayor students. And I will guess everything that's going to be guessed tonight. And it should be. To answer your question. Is there anything else?
There's nothing else. Thank you.
Vice mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. As everyone said, Happy New Year. We are a melting pot. And I think that Mr. Novak had a great definition. And I got one, a place where different people, styles, theories, etc., are mixed together. I think with the common goal and a common cause of preserving our history. So with that being said, we can have this melting pot, different ethnic groups, different backgrounds. We can come together with all the main goal and one main cause of preserving our history. So it can be done. I want to thank Councilwoman Randolph for just keeping this water situation to the forefront. Pretty sure everyone has seen Jackson, Mississippi. And I want to thank our CAO as well, making us aware that I've always thought that each administration should take a little block. I always say a little block of the water situation, the underground, and take that upon themselves and say, before I leave office, I'll make sure that I get at least some of either done with new piping or whatever. I also want to, I guess, address the situation with Councilman Washington. He keeps saying that the planning department, something was done wrong. We have Ms. Tamara here now. I think that if you could just get with her, because I don't think that the former planner would jeopardize going to jail, jeopardize his license for doing something illegal. You said that on many occasions that the planning department didn't bring anything back to us. I think if you get with Ms. Tammy and you guys talk, you'll see that they have certain privies to do that. You don't have to bring it back to council. Another thing is I want to just bring to your awareness that if everyone says retreat, in our last meeting, we tried to show that we're trying to get along up here. But if you can't come to the common ground, and let's just take this for instance, if you have a mentally challenged elderly man had his house taken or purchased, and we can't come to agree that that was wrong and that we need to come to a solution on how to give him his property back. If we can't come to that, how are we gonna have a retreat and talk? We gotta come on the same floor, same platform, come on the same ground, knowing that we want to do right. When you have people taking stuff off of the agenda, we all know that that's wrong. Legal knows that that's wrong. Everyone knows that that's wrong. But we won't come on the same ground saying, hey, that was wrong. You're not able to do that. No one says anything about it. I don't see anybody getting them saying, hey, that was wrong to take that off the agenda. You can't do that. If we want to move forward with this without progress of understanding, then we got to come on the same ground of knowing that right is right and wrong is wrong. We are, I'm going to say again, we are a melting pot, and I think if we can come together and make this happen. I have a couple of questions for Mr. English, and I was going to ask the CEO, I was going to send an email, so I apologize. Being an elected official, I feel as though it's my right as an elected official to address department heads. If I'm not directing them on anything to do, I should be able to address them and ask questions. If I want in this public setting or email without having the mayor's approval, especially if it's just asking a question. One of my questions will be is to Mr. English. We did have money allocated for that water tower. I think it was maybe over a year ago. We had monies allocated to get that done. We also, from Mr. English, we had that water break. I think there's still debris that Washington or Lincoln. I think that the debris is still there on Lincoln. And when are they going to get that up? And I know Mr. Singh was working on having to hold that company accountable. The last, I think, like $100 and some thousand or something. But I don't know if that would cause us to go ahead and get that debris up, so that nobody won't get hurt and makes that town look good. So that was from Mr. English. I look forward to hearing his response in an email, please. He doesn't have to contact me. Send that to me in an email, and it's right here for public, record request if he needs to hear it on record, about the water tower on the west end, money allocated over here ago, and the debris. So we're going to get that debris picked up. And that's my report. Have a great night.
The last time that, like I said, last time that public came here to do it did wrong. That's why she decided that you have to come back to the council. It's like they didn't do that down in the first department. Who approved that? The other part was going to have a 6 part going over across the street. They never came to this council. So that's why I can say those words that they have done that.
Happy New Year, everyone. Councilwoman Brenda, the last Zora was in June. I'm going to apologize to you. I did not get all the steps correct in making sure that the council was a part of that, the mayors. However, my second item in my book is the Historic Black Settlements Alliance is January 28, 2023 at 8 a.m. The location is being worked out now because of the delegation size. This last in June it was here, but based on the delegation they're expecting, we need to find someplace else. We will receive a formal invitation. I did not get it. Attorney Shepherd. And this is so I don't forget. I wrote a note. When agreements are signed, no matter what kind of agreement, even if it's CRA or is there a disclaimer that can be placed somewhere in the agreement or added to that clarifies that agreement being signed incorporates any agreement out there?
Which that incorporates every other prior understanding, negotiation, et
Yes.
cetera. It says it's all merged into the document.
And
It cannot otherwise be changed unless it's been agreed to by both parties or multiple parties in writing and
Full
signed
disclosure.
off.
Full
Yes.
disclosure.
All of that is possible, called the integration clause. And it integrates all of the stuff that's going into it, negotiations, discussion, and so forth. It says if it's not in here, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But and this is the but that applied, you said, can any agreement, well, some agreements are mandated by state, like grants, and they won't let you change a company. But the ones that you control, where there's a negotiation, where there's an actual negotiation going on, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The MLK Junior Parade, the actual flyer for the parade is on the website. So I don't know why it wasn't sent out, but I'll make sure, but the flyers on the website, same person that has been taking care of all the vendors, application process. I think I mentioned this in the last meeting about MLK. Mrs. King was helping oversee to make sure that, to help the steps, just oversee the process. No?
No, I'm not having to oversee the process. I am there to assist her
Okay.
when there is
Yes.
question.
Same, that,
Okay, I just wanted to
Yes.
verify her interpretation.
I mean, in regards to who's over the vendors, applications are going out. So if vendors want to be a part, they can get the vendor's application. So I'm hoping I'm answering your question.
Who's coordinating the parade? Who's coordinating the parade?
In the last meeting, I said that Ms. Robinson was coordinating that. In the last meeting, I said that.
So can we get information prior to? Because I know it's quite a few things going on that weekend, can we just get information so that we can go through the scene? Because I have no indication of what time to be there because multiple things happen. So I think this is a comprehensive.
Okay, so she said,
Yeah, she can tell us some preliminaries. I mean, we have to be somewhere at a certain time. Let us know because, people been asking about, Orlando parade is prior to ours and some people may go over there and do things, they come here. We just need to be able to plan it out.
it was mentioned about the 6 acres. How do we know? And the name was mentioned earlier. And I have to say this because the 6 acres, the question was, why 6 acres? Why not 60? Why not all? Why not 1? So where did that 6 acres come from? And that's a question to be, I'm just gonna put that out in the atmosphere. The $2 million that was waived, and this is so we are straight. The $2 million, and it's in the minutes, it should be in the minutes, was something that was brought up by me. That $2 million was waived But it was after I pointed it out in the agreement that items A through H or I had no amounts next to them. And then in a March 2022, 2021 meeting, 22 meeting, March 21 meeting, that's when the $2 million figure was placed on the items that was in an agreement that we agreed to. So had we not brought that up, that $4 million would have been reduced by $2 million.
That's not true.
But not from the board, please check the minutes. Don't check me, check the minutes. Goals for 2023. Pretty much in the minutes from Mr. Singh. One of the things I thought for Mr. Singh was his background in finance. Because I stated that every department, no matter, public works didn't matter, you had to have a financial footing. That was one of the things that attracted me to the qualifications that he offered. So in dealing with what do I want my goals for 2023, first of all, know where we are financially. Let's just clear the air, good, bad, indifferent. Where are we financially? What do we need to work on? The other thing, and it's in the minutes, is the capital improvement plan. You know, we've had no map going forward. Capital improvement plan, we had one 2 decades ago, then we know to fix those pipes in that section. That's a plan. And knowing where you are financially helps support a plan, no matter what the plan is. Retreat has always been okay with me. Mrs. King, would you please get with, well, Mr. Singh, would you please get with Mrs. King to get a retreat set up and try to get a date scheduled. Zora Festival, it's not perfect, but we're making steps to make it. And I think just by some of the things that Mr. Singh has said, you know, it's some of the nemesis that have existed, especially paying law enforcement. Let's get that taken care of. And I think that's a big step in making sure that hurdle is crossed. Code enforcement, I'm gonna go ahead and answer this. Code enforcement, there was a person. That person didn't work out to the end. So the current code enforcement is is helping with the recreation department. I mean, that's just how we do it in a small town where things just don't work out, we just work it. The Westwater Tower follow-up 1 year ago, if the money was given 1 year ago, my first question would be, why wasn't it done 1 year ago? Because I know we have that question, but I also understand why some things haven't been done. I also understand that, so we'll look into that further. Club Eaton, yes, the roof did collapse, that conversation has already been had, we are aware of that. Removal of the item from the agenda, one of the first things I did was apologize. Because in the past, we have the roof changed, even that same night of the CRA agenda was made, nothing was. I apologize. I said, oh, I promise. I'm not gonna get a release. So I have release. But that's all, that's as far as I'm gonna go with that. It's been said, for whatever reason that came up, I don't know, but that's okay. And I did not. Oh, February 7th, you asked about the date. When the amendment was first done, the date, nothing really should have been stated. So if someone asked me, then definitely around February 7th. But until it's on the agenda, that's the issue. And right now, we're grateful for the first meeting in February. With that being said, everyone please ride safely. Meeting is adjourned. It is 8:46. Oh, I moved for the meeting to adjourn. So it's been moved second. Second. Say aye. Aye. All opposed.
You